Cathy Thomas. Rachel Klemek, award-winning pastry chef, has bakeries in Costa Mesa and Santa Ana. As delicious as they are beautiful, her black market bakeries are famous for their delectable treats, including the pumpkin ginger whoopie pies that she's going to make for us today. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you.
I want to know what makes whoopie pies so irresistible.
The Whoopie Pies, first of all, it's the name.
Yeah.
Whoopie, party, fun. But I love Whoopie Pies because they're a cake that you can pick up and eat. They've got the frosting. They're not like a cupcake. I mean, they kind of are. It's almost like if you ripped a cupcake, the bottom of it off and stuck the top on and made a sandwich. It's what's good about cookies, what's good about cake, all together.
They're wonderful. Show me how.
Okay, so we're gonna do a pumpkin whoopie pie. And
all right.
We'll start with the best ingredient, butter. My butter isn't super soft, but I'm not gonna worry about it because
The mixer's going to do the work.
the mixer is going to do all the work
All
for
right.
us. Butter, sugar, and then to give it that, that kind of fall flavor, we're gonna put in some molasses.
Oh, nice.
And molasses is quite strong, so we don't want to put a ton in. But we're basically making our own brown sugar if you want to think about it that way. I'm just going to go like a speed 1 to start with,
Right.
so the ingredients don't fling out at us. And then we'll cook it up to speed 2. The friction will develop air, so that way when we add our leavening ingredients, those air bubbles will get bigger and we'll have a nice, delicate, soft product. While this is going, we're gonna go ahead and crack our eggs into another container. I know some people like to crack eggs right into the mixer, but it's happened to me before that a shell goes in and
That's
then
right.
you have to stop the mixer and fish around.
This is a little insurance policy.
Exactly. And if there is any shell, it'll go into the bottom of the bowl anyway. I'm gonna just kick it up for a quick minute and I'll scrape it once. I think sometimes people scrape their mixer bowl way too much.
Really?
I think that. So I'm just gonna scrape it once just to try to get whatever butter is down in the bottom incorporated better. Okay, we'll go on low speed for a couple minutes.
Okay.
And while that is happening, I'm going to sift my dry ingredients. This is pastry flour. It's a little lower in gluten than your all-purpose flour. You can use all-purpose flour if that's all you have at home, but I think pastry flour has a little more delicate cake-like effect.
It makes a finer crumb, doesn't it?
Exactly. And then I've already measured out my baking powder, baking soda, and salt.
I like it that you put them in cupcake liners.
And then also we're gonna put our spices in. So we've got nutmeg, some ground ginger, it's pretty strong smelling. And then actually it's about 3 tablespoons of cinnamon. It's a decent amount of cinnamon.
And don't you think it's the spices that really make pumpkin irresistible?
I think without the spices it would be a little flat.
Yeah.
You really do need it. I was a non-sifter and I saw the error of my ways. Sifting is huge. I know it feels like you're not doing anything, but we're getting out all those lumps.
Right.
And then we're also making sure that all our leavenings are nice and mixed in thoroughly. And we'll be able to actually mix less when we start adding the dry ingredients because the aeration has already happened and there won't be any lumps to get out. We're gonna put a little bit of vanilla in. The vanilla's not gonna do a lot, but I do think it's good to have it in there. You can see now the mixture is a lot paler. We want it to get nice and pale, aerated. I think sometimes people tend to not mix the butter and sugar enough at this stage.
You have to be patient.
You do. It's funny, there's a sound it makes, like a flockety sound. There might not be enough in here for that, but I want it to look really pale, really smooth, and kind of loose, and see how it moves really nicely? You can hear it, flockety. There it is.
Flockety. It's a slapping sound.
Yeah. Next is our eggs, and ideally you wouldn't want to have really cold eggs. They can tend to make the mixture separate. I'm gonna turn it down so it doesn't go all over. We'll just go one at a time. My kids would probably eat it at this point when they were little. Like, it's just butter and sugar, guys. They said, yes, we know.
And it looks a little like it's curdled at this point.
A teeny bit.
Yeah, a tiny bit.
And that's just because we put the cold eggs in there.
And it's okay.
Oh, it's fine. Now I'm gonna throw my pumpkin in, which is kind of the key ingredient here. And I'm not sure how you come down on pumpkin puree, but we used canned pumpkin puree.
Of course you do.
Okay. It's consistent. They know what they're doing.
Martha makes her own. The rest of us use canned.
The rest of us are not as perfect, yeah. Again, it's gonna look a little bit separated, but that's just because we added a lot of really wet ingredients to it. But as soon as we start adding the flour, we'll be fine. So now we're gonna start alternating our dry and our wet ingredients. So we're gonna add about 1/3 of our dry. Okay, so I'm only gonna go on low speed.
Okay.
So go ahead and throw in half of your buttermilk. So we're just going dry, wet, dry, wet, dry. Okay, at this point, I'm just gonna stop the mixer and I'm gonna fold a couple times just to make sure everything's incorporated.
You do take the spatula down to the bottom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is just gonna ensure that our mixture is even. We're gonna use this little ice cream scoop. You can also pipe the batter out, but I like the scoop because it gives us a relatively consistent size.
Nice.
We'll see how many we can fit on here. I'm gonna guess at this size, 10, 12, 15 minutes until we poke the center and it springs back.
All right, let's get them in.
Awesome.
Okay. So they're beautiful, they're out of the oven, they're cool.
They're ready for the next phase.
That's right. The frosting.
You can't have the one without the other.
Do we call it frosting or filling?
We're gonna call it filling actually,
All right.
because we're filling these, we're
Okay.
not frosting them,
Okay.
but yeah, you can use it for either.
All right.
You really don't wanna start with cold cream cheese. I'm sure you've made cheesecakes before where if the cream cheese is too cold, you're gonna end up with lumps.
Right.
Make sure the lumps are out before you add anything else, because once the sugar goes in, once the butter goes in, it's too loose of a mixture to develop that friction. So that looks pretty good actually. So we'll just scrape it down. These lumps seem to kind of lurk on the paddle and then down at the very bottom. Although it actually
Looks pretty good,
looks
doesn't
pretty
it?
good, yep. Get this going again. I think it's lump free. Or close to it. We want to put our butter in and we're just going to get this smooth and incorporated.
And it looks like the butter is at room temp.
Same thing, yeah, exactly. So we want these to combine nicely. And while we're doing this, I might go ahead and throw in a little more of our vanilla. Looks good. I said something about sifting before and I actually sifted the powdered sugar.
You really are good.
Well, you don't want lumps.
Yeah.
We don't want lumps. And then we're gonna put in, I think it's about a teaspoon of cinnamon. You can do more if you want. Since I put a bunch of dry ingredients in, I don't wanna go high speed and have it fly all over the place. I'm gonna scrape it down once. Make sure we got it all incorporated. Okay, yeah, it looks really nice and homogeneous, incorporated. I'm a big fan of the disposable piping bags. Do you use those or do you?
Yes, absolutely. I have washed so many canvas bags and they get nasty after a while.
They really do. You kind of wonder what's going on with them. Yeah. We don't need a piping tip because we're just going to cut the end off. You can use an ice cream scoop too if you wanted.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
A little ice cream scoop. We just want to match them up like to like as best we can. When you use disposable piping bags, it's so basic, but make sure you pay attention to where this goes. I'm always worried when people cut it and it stays on the counter or the table in the kitchen, because you really don't want that to end up getting incorporated into food.
A little too much fiber.
Yes, a little too chewy. And I've had my piping bag pretty full, but I'm gonna go ahead and do a squeeze down here so I'm not putting so much pressure on my one hand.
That's a good tip.
We want it to kind of pooch out.
You are very generous.
Oh, I was gonna put more in.
Oh,
The next one.
all right.
Okay.
Even more generous than that.
Because it makes it so good. Because if you're gonna eat dessert, eat
Right.
dessert. Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Beautiful. Whoopie.
Whoopie pie, baby. You really do want to make these though the day that you're going to serve them, but they're pretty easy.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun, and I can hardly wait to dig in.
I think it's time right now. We have to.
And we can say whoopee.
Whoopie, exactly. Thank you, Kathy.
Here's a quick tip from Melissa's. I love this grown-up fruit salad. It's a concoction I call Fruit Salad Royale. It's perfect for the buffet table, for brunch, or the picnic basket. I start by making a simple dressing that has a little orange liqueur in it. I use either Cointreau or Grand Marnier. So I have 1/4 cup here. I have a tablespoon of sugar and about 3 tablespoons of fresh orange juice. So I'm just going to stir that up to dissolve the sugar. Start with some kiwi because they're just so darn pretty, and I just take off the ends and then just peel it with a little paring knife, cut it in half lengthwise, and then flat side down, just cut it in slices. Now some beautiful strawberries, some black grapes, and how about some plums? And of course, this changes seasonally. If I was making it in the dead of winter, I'd probably put in some beautiful kumquats, some peeled segment of fresh orange. You want to cut off the ends parallel to one another, and then just cut along the outside, following the contour of the fruit and cutting off the pith. You just take a nice sharp little knife and go in and cut them into peeled segments. You're just going along the outside of the membrane. And now this orange liqueur mixture, give it a nice stir, and in it goes, and a toss. Now I like to use silicone spatulas to do the tossing, because then the fruit doesn't get cut by anything that's metal. And isn't that splendid to look at? And it's going to be delicious. What could be better? The produce aisles are filled with so many delicious choices. Try something new, have an adventure.